Good evening, Brownsville AOB members and BISD employees. This is Veronica Borrego, your AOB president. And here next to me on this side, I have Miss Ida, our TSTA staff. And welcome to our very first virtual BISD candidate forum for 2020. All candidates were sent an invitation to participate in this forum. Sorry, guys, I'm going to read it because if not, I don't want to miss anything. And we do have receipt of that all candidates were set the participation for the forum, and receipt confirmation of invitation was delivered. All candidates were given a deadline of yesterday to submit their questionnaire with preliminary questions in order to consider them pre-screened for the AOBE candidate forum. That being said, you might have noticed Denise Garza is on the posting and noticed that was sent out to you. That is because she had confirmed to attend, but her questionnaire was not submitted, okay? As an association for our members, we need to make sure candidates we consider for endorsement have been properly vetted with the membership's majority in mind of different concerns they are currently facing. Therefore, if a candidate did not complete all requirements, they will not be at these forums or considered for endorsement. AOBE is a democratically member-controlled professional association. With that being said, voting ballots will be sent out on Saturday for voting on endorsement of candidates. We will have more information for you at the end of tomorrow's forum. The preliminary questionnaire has the following questions, and to see how these candidates answered them, you can go to our website. Oops, let me put the banner. At www.myaobe.com, and on the left drop bar, click on 2020 BISD candidates, and I'm going to read you the questions that the candidates answered. Number 1. Please provide your name and contact information together with a brief biographical information essay about yourself, your family, your educational background, including elementary, middle, and high school, your employment, and any organizations you belong to professionally in the community or socially, or where any other that they've been a part of. Why are you running for school board? Number 3. What are your goals for BISD? Number 4, one of the biggest issues confronting the district is the drop in student enrollment. What solutions do you have to help attract and retain students in BISD? Number 5, how will you address issues and concern with the leadership and membership of our employee union, the Association of Brownsville Educators, AOBE, TSTA, NEA? Number 6, what are your thoughts on a living wage? Classified employees in BISD continue to receive pay at below market value. What will you do to rectify this? Please elaborate. Number 7, what will you do when the administration recommends following policy and remove an administrative procedure that was implemented to benefit BISD employees? Number 8, what does site-based decision-making mean to you? Are you willing to commit to having a true site-based decision-making at the campus level for BISD school employees and parents? Number 9, do you support vouchers for students who attend low-performance public schools? Explain. What is your position on teacher incentive pay based on student performance? Number 11, should student test scores be used to evaluate a teacher's performance? Explain your position. Number 12, do you support teacher evaluations in making decisions regarding reduction of force? Explain your position. Number 13, would you support an increase of the health insurance contribution rate for employees above the state minimum required by law. Number 14, our association brings a wealth of resources and knowledge that will be an asset to this district. If elected, how will you involve our association and our members in the decision-making process? Number 15, during these unprecedented times, how will you ensure safety of our staff, students, and our community? Again, so those were the questions that were sent out. That was the questionnaire that was sent out to all candidates. The deadline to submit was yesterday. And so you can find all the submissions on our website, and the website is right there at the bottom. And you click on the left bar, 2020 BISD candidates, and you will find their responses there. Okay. We will now get started and allow each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves. We will start in the order they will appear on the ballot.
Now, Vero, if you want to also let them know, they are able to add additional questions if they might have for the candidates. They can go ahead and put them on the sidebar and submit them there. I know, I believe I got several messages that the comments are not appearing. I don't know if there's something that is happening that it's not appearing on there.
I'm going to log in on my phone and see if I can see any extra comments on there.
Okay.
See if that'll...
But if anybody, feel free to submit any questions you want to address to the candidates. And that way we can go ahead and address those at the end. We're going to go first through the questions that were submitted. We had asked our membership to submit any questions that they had, and they would be kept anonymously. And we have broken them down into different categories and different topics. So to be fair to each candidate, as we go through the candidates, we will be spinning the wheel and to see which topic they will get, and we will select a question under that topic. Okay, so we'll be giving them different opportunities to answer the questions randomly. So again, feel free to ask any questions on the comment bar, and we will address those at the very end, depending on how much time is left and how much unanswered questions we might have at that time, because your question might be already on the list that we do have. But yeah. I think we're ready to get started.
Yes, so I was going to have a timer alongside the candidates so they could see their time, but what I'm going to do is I will pop in maybe 5 seconds before your time is up so that you can know that you only have 5 seconds left, okay? Our first candidate is Jaime Diez.
Hey, hello. My name is Jaime Diez. I'm a candidate for place 2. So I was born in Brownsville. My parents are Jaime Diez. He's an immigration attorney here, and my mom is Luisa. And so I went to school here. I went to school in St. Mary's, and I went to high school in St. Joe's. I know I'm going to get a question on that later on. I'm getting a lot on Facebook. From there, I went to study in GW, in George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I actually had the honor to work with Filemon Vela while I was there. After my first semester, I actually moved back. I'm very close to my family. I thought it was just hard to not see him for that long, so I moved back to Texas. I ended up going to school in SMU, which is in Dallas. There, I pursued and earned a degree in mechanical engineering. And while I was there, I was actually very involved in the robotics club. While there, I was able to help the club secure funding to fund an initiative that to teach middle school kids about robotics. So what we did is we bought some Arduino kits, and then we used our team members to go and expose these kids to it while they're still young. There's a big learning curve with the robotics. So the earlier you get started, the easier it is for you to get over it right and to get to the fun part. So once I finished there, I moved back almost immediately after, I think 3 months after I graduated. And one of the first things I actually did is sign up to sub in my old high school. I've been able to do that, and I had an incredible experience. I've worked a couple jobs, one of which was actually in Orgo Works, which is a construction company here locally. It's a construction and architecture firm. And while I was there, I was doing software implementation. So I was implementing HH2, which is an accounting software, and construction software called Sage CPC, trying to integrate that with another accounting software. So I'm pretty familiar with the difficulties that especially some older people, and I mean even myself sometimes have when it comes to learning new softwares. And currently I started two businesses. I went to a repair company. This was about 4 months ago, called Value
Thank you,
Repair.
Mr. Diaz. That's 2 minutes. Sorry
All
to
right.
cut you off. Thank you so
You're good.
much.
You're good. Thank you.
Okay, let me switch my screen. All right. Our next candidate is Mr. Frankie Olivo. And I'm going to reset my timer. Go.
Hello, world. My name is Frankie Olivo, and I am proud to say that I am a BISD product, having attended Bettis Elementary, Oliveto Middle School, and the Homer Hanna High School. I graduated from the University of Texas at Brownsville. I obtained a major in history, government, in secondary education. I'm a proud alumni of Leadership Brownsville, an organization that helps leaders understand the different dynamics of municipal government and the importance nonprofit organizations have within our city. Currently, I work as the 404 Judicial District Court Coordinator for a state district judge. I have the pleasure of co-hosting a podcast titled Brownsville Talk. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have brought along the Mayor of the City of Brownsville, Commissioner Jessica Tetreault, neurologists, pediatricians, dentists, to help our community answer the questions of this novel virus and how the City of Brownsville has been dealing with this pandemic. Lately, I've been vocal about the different issues occurring within our school district. I am running for BISD Place 2 because I feel that I could be an asset for our special needs department and students. I will be an advocate having an education background for our teachers and employees. And most of all, I will make sure to change the culture within BISD. With Frankie Olivo on the board, I will make sure that teachers, staff are able to criticize, make suggestions, and recommendations. With Frankie Olivo on the board, there will no longer be any retaliation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next candidate for place 3 is Argelia Miller. Let me reset my timer here. Okay, Ms. Miller, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Argelia Miller. I'm retired Air Force and I'm also a federal employee that I have worked in different institutions in the federal government. Not many people know that I have worked in the BISD and also volunteered. I am a product of public schools because I grew up in San Antonio. So therefore I attended elementary public, middle school public, and high school, public school. When it comes to education, yes, I got 2 associates. I got a bachelor. You can say that I can officially or unofficially have a master's degree, but that's another story. So what I can just say is just that since I am retired, I am available 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days, and I can be available for the safety and the success of our students. And all I can tell you is just that being in the military makes you well-rounded. Being a federal employee, you can go ahead and follow the rules and the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. You can also keep an eye on our precious students, and also you can kind of make sure that you listen to the BISD employees' concerns. And with that, I just say, if you choose me to be your board of trustee, I will be available. I always put my telephone available and my email. So this way there will be no retaliation. It will be only your concerns that I will listen. And if I don't know the answer, I'll go ahead and guide you to the right person, or I'll try to find the answer for you. With that, thank you very much. And I thank IOBI for making time to make sure that the public, the community, the parents are aware of who the candidates are. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Okay, our next candidate is Mr. Philip Cowen. Let me just reset my timer here, sir. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Philip Cowen. I want to thank you for inviting me here tonight. It's a pleasure to be at this forum. I've been at other forums in the past, not just 2016, but also 1986 when I ran the first time and 1992 when I ran the second time. A little bit about my personal history. I'm a BISD graduate. I did go to Catholic school for the first 4 years of my education and then transferred over to BISD. I went to CUTNAD for 4 days in Clearwater. And then I went to Central, Brownsville High School, and Texas Southmost College, University of Texas, Boston University, Texas Southern. I'm a lawyer and a customs broker. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army. I'm a former contractor. I used to build houses for a living back in the 70s. I have a master's in education. I could be wrong, but I think I'm the only person running for school board. Maybe Denise Garza might be the exception, who's a former teacher. I'm also a former college professor at Central Texas College, and I've taught as an adjunct professor at the University of Texas, Brownsville, and at Texas A&I when it was before it became TAMUC. I got involved in education because of my children. Some of them needed more help than others, and sometimes the system didn't work well with them. And I felt like, well, maybe I can do something to make sure the system is able to help all children. I believe firmly that by helping teachers, the children will be helped. So I've always been very conscious of the fact that I need to be able to, if we have teachers that are happy in the job and what they do, that the children will benefit by it, because you'll have that tenderness and affection that is part of the learning process. I want to finish my opening by saying I think at this time we need knowledgeable, learned members on the school board. It's very critical that you have people to understand the issues. They're very deep. They're not that impossible, but they're very deep. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. And our last candidate for place 3 is Mr. Viro Cardenas. Let me let him in. All right, sir, I'm going to start the timer. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Viro Cardenas, and I'm running for place 3. My education started at First Baptist Day School, on to Pettis Elementary, Stella Intermediate, Hannah High School, class of 86, University of Dayton, then Southwest Texas. As we look at the days ahead of us, we have a big group of people running. The reason for that is some of us are not sitting idle anymore of what's happening in our school system. I sit on the boards. I used to sit on the board for Tip of Texas Outreach, and also I'm currently on the board for our Brownsville Charter Review. With everything happening, we have the time restored.
Mr. Cardenas, we can't hear you.
No. Hello?
It's-
Can
there
you hear
go.
me now?
Yes.
Okay. How many seconds do I have left?
44 seconds left. 44 seconds.
So my name is Viro Cardenas, running for place 3. Sorry over the interruption there. With 44 seconds, just say we have a lot to work through.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. All right. Yes.
Did he lose his connection?
Yeah. His microphone had unplugged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I stopped the timer though.
Okay, I think if he's back on, if you can let him start again, that way it'll only be fair. I mean, this is what our teachers deal with the internet issues. So it is a perfect example of what having to go virtual could do. So I think if we can allow him just so he can start all over again without the interruptions.
Hold on. Let me, since I'm having problems on the internet, on my laptop, and on my phone, let me see if I can get back on my laptop.
Okay.
I know this is.
Would it take long?
Okay. I'm going to take you off, Mr. Cardenas, so that Ida and I can talk a little about what's going to happen right after. Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
And then we'll give you a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So as soon as Mr. Cardenas is up, he'll do his 2 minutes, and then we will begin the questions from the wheel. Okay. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. We're going to spin the wheel. And then that is going to be the question that is going to pertain to them specifically. Okay.
Can you show the wheel so
yes, of course,
so our audience can see some of the different topics that we will be asking?
Yes.
These are the questions. We had asked our members to submit questions, and we broke it down to these different topics. So once it lands on one of those topics, we will go to the list of questions that we have for those topics. We couldn't put them all on the wheel, so that's how we broke it down, and that way we can give them a opportunity to answer the questions that were submitted by our membership. So, and then after that, we will see, depending on time, how many questions we get. So continue to submit your questions on the comments, and we will try to address those if they have not been already addressed. So let's go ahead and get back to Mr. Cardenas and see if his internet is better. And the reason we are providing this opportunity for him is we're not holding against him the internet, but we want to give everybody a fair opportunity to speak to the public, and that way they're able to communicate as far as what their platform is and a little bit of their background. So, Mr. Cardenas, is that any better?
Give me 3 seconds. I'm trying to get into your broadcast studio on my website. There we go.
Oh.
Here we go. I think I got y'all.
You're gonna have to.
There we go.
Okay,
All right. I'm going to remove Ida, and I am going to start the timer.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Viro Cardenas. I'm running for place 3. My education started at First Baptist Day School, on to Pettis Elementary, Stella Intermediate, Hannah High School, class of '86, University of Dayton, and Southwest Texas. I sit on the board for the Brownsville Charter Review, and also I've sat on many different boards like Tip of Texas Outreach. The reason why I'm running for place 3, or just the school board in general, is because we've entrusted this school board to, the professionals the pillars of our community. And, most of them are doing a job, but there's just too much controversy. And this doesn't sit well with me. This is not a place where kids look at people that should be leaders. There's no reason for this kind of action. We're here for the children and the teachers, the staff, to be able to talk to board members without retaliation. This all has to stop. There's no reason for what's going on in the school district to keep going on anymore. That's why I'm running in place 3. It's time to stop. The only solution is to have a new board that works well together. Oh.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, Miss Ida, I'm going to bring you back up real quick.
Okay.
All right. So like I said, each candidate is going to have 2 minutes to respond to a question. Whichever topic falls on the wheel, I have the list of questions here. And I will read the question, and then we will give them their 2 minutes to respond. I'm going to, again, we're going to be going in the order that they fall on the ballot. So the first person will be place 2, Jaime Diez. Okay.
Now, Veronica,
Yes.
I saw some of the comments, and some of them were saying that maybe 2 minutes was not long enough for them to answer on some of these topics. I believe since we are short one candidate that didn't appear, actually 2, do we increase the answer time for 3 minutes, or do we leave it at 2? Some of them will not probably utilize the entire time, but that's a call of something that we can make depending on how it goes. Do you think, or do we just stay with the 2?
I think that since we did,
well, we can leave it at 2 because that way, that's fine.
Are you sure? I already changed the timer.
Okay.
I mean, it gives them a little bit more time, right?
Okay.
And like you said, some of the questions won't require the whole time, so it might save us a little bit of time.
They can finish early.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm leaving Ida on the screen because even with glasses, I still can't see what it says. So let's spin the wheel.
Okay.
Food services.
All right.
Okay. Okay, we're back on. So sorry, guys. Where's Ida? Mr. Diaz, I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes just to make sure that it doesn't like kick us out again in the middle of your response, okay? And so we had a big glitch.
And there you go. And that's what happens. So it threw everybody off. Okay, let's get everybody back on.
Yeah, let me just make sure everybody's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates. Is that right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates. Okay, guys, and see exactly what Ida said. This is what we go through on a daily basis in class. We have glitches. It kicks us out. We come back in.
Exactly. And this is, I think sometimes things are God sent, because this is a perfect example for the people to see and people to understand what our educators are going through, and the frustration level of the educators, the frustration level of the parents and the students. So, but with that being said, we still have to keep in mind that we have to keep safety first. So we're not saying to go back into the classroom, but what we're saying is these are the things that everyone is having to deal with. So it's frustrating because you put a lot of work and planning into everything, and there's going to be glitches and little setbacks, but we're going to continue to go forward, and hopefully everybody has logged back on to see, and we'll be viewing also. So we've given people some time to log back on.
And now that I'm sweating, Ida, just remind me it was food service, right?
Yes, it was a food service question.
Okay.
For
right.
Mr. Diaz.
For Mr. Diaz. Diaz.
Diaz. Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to take Ida off and bring on Mr. Diaz. And then again, it's going to be we're going to be doing 3 minutes now, okay? 3 minutes. Let me bring on Mr. Diaz. And I'm going to start the timer, sir. Go ahead.
I was actually very nervous. I thought the crash was just me because, and I'm like, they're going to give me such a hard time. They're going to think that I dipped before my question. But I think universal feeding is, it's a very valuable service.
Hold on, I'm so sorry. I have to read you the question. Hello.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to talk generally.
No. We actually have a question.
Okay, yeah.
1 second.
Go for it.
Food services. How do you feel about the meal program that was done during the summer, and would you have recommended anything differently? Okay, you're going to have 3 minutes. All right, go ahead, timer's on.
So during the summer, I understood that BISD will continue to give out food, and then they had an issue regarding some of the volunteers getting coronavirus, and they ended up canceling it. So, as well, they looked into it further. Well, the food was apparently prepared off-site, and I think that this is an invaluable service, and that we do have to have contingency plans, especially in times like this, to in place, because I mean, we're going through hard times and we don't know what's going to happen. So we do need to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, kind of how right now the internet just cut off, right? And we didn't have a plan for it, but that's going to be the next couple of years of or hopefully not years, but at least of the next couple of months till we get a vaccine for this thing. So I personally thought it was a great service. I thought that we should have offered it the entire summer. However, sometimes factors out of our control take place, and when we aren't prepared enough, well then, I mean, our community suffers the consequences. And that is my response.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Diaz. All right. Our next candidate is Mr. Frankie Olivo, and I'm going to bring up the wheel so we can see the question. are. The wheel's not showing.
Oh, the wheel is not showing. The wheel is gonna log right back on right now, so we can go ahead and spin that. Give me 1 second. Okay, share the screen for the wheel.
Yeah, it's not showing.
Okay, give me a second. Let me have the wheel.
There it comes. There it comes.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Taking a little while to load. It's okay.
The wheel broke the internet, somebody says.
It did, and my dogs don't stop barking. I'm like, great. Internet goes down. We get kicked off the stream. Wheel doesn't want to work, and my dogs are going crazy.
Okay, try the Wi-Fi. Let me see it. It's this internet.
It's just one of them days.
Everything else is closed. Alrighty. I am going to have to do it from here. Sorry.
Okay.
We can't share the screen. And my apologies. My apologies, guys. Hold on. My apologies, guys. Hold on. My apologies, guys. Hold on. Okay. So it was. Give me a second. Did it? Okay. We're going to have to go randomly. He entered it into the numbers and stuff. So we're going to go with distance learning.
Distance learning. Okay. And our next candidate, I'm going to take you off the screen. Mr. Frankie Olivo, distance learning. Let me bring him up. Hello, Mr. Olivo. Thank you for your patience. How do you feel about the students having distance learning and why? I'm going to start the timer and then I'm going to get myself off the screen. Okay, go ahead.
How do I feel about distance learning? Well, right now, due to the COVID-19 crisis that we're dealing with, it is our best option. I understand that right now, we just saw how we had some connectivity issues. Not all students would probably benefit from distant learning because of not having Wi-Fi, living outside the bounds of the hotspots that our school buses have located themselves. Others may thrive with this new technology, but it is important for us to understand that safety is our number one concern. It should be. Distant learning is the future, but at the same time, I understand the struggles that teachers are going through with preparing their lessons, having to deal with the students, engaging with the students. But right now, distant learning should be the only option. The district has had or scheduled 4 weeks of distant learning. I would advocate for longer. If we would have done a better job of preparing for this, we would have put our teachers, our students, and our community at a better position right now. But unfortunately, the district is lacking leadership, decisive leadership. Because if we would have started back in March and April to have seen the trials and errors in August and September would have flowed a lot better. So how do I feel about students and distant learning? Right now, it is the best option for our students because we still have the issues of the COVID-19 pandemic. Flu season's coming around in September, October. We have heard from our medical professionals how the second wave might be worse than the first. So safety should be our number one priority. And the only option for BISD right now, and is my hope that it will be extended, is distant learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olivo. All right. Next question. Miss Ida.
Hi, everyone. We are going. We are going old school. Oh, the wheel is back. I do not know how that happened. That's great. Let's spin it because I was already going old school and I was cutting the names. I'm going to have that ready.
Have them ready. Have them ready.
I'm having them ready. Don't you worry.
Our next candidate from place 3 is Argelia Miller. Let's spin the wheel. Does that say fine arts, Ida?
Yes, it does. It says fine arts.
All righty. Just want to make sure. I can't see. Okay, I'm going to take you off, Miss Ida, and bring on Miss Miller. Okay, Miss Miller. Let me read you the question. Fine arts. Do you think the fine art department is properly supported in BISD, and why? If you do not, what would you do differently? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
I do not think that the fine arts is properly supported, because when I was at CAB, you could see that there used to be a lot of traffic jams. There was a lot of inconvenience for the parents to go ahead and be in that little small cab for doing the Christmas things. If they would have used the monies that were allocated for the art right there by Morrison, if they could have gone ahead and used that money maybe to go ahead and improve better equipment, musical equipments, better incentives for the students to go ahead and be more marketing for the students to go ahead and encourage them to be in the fine arts department. Of course, we have the sports, we have other departments, but the question was fine arts. I'm pretty sure that with all the money that BISD has in the budget, they could find some money allocated to go ahead and improve, encourage, and support fine arts. Remember, they did have the money to make that arts that all of a sudden, boom, disappear like the 21 million bridge to nowhere. So that is my answer.
Thank you, Miss Miller. Okay, our next candidate will be Mr. Philip Cowen. I'm bringing up my eyes, Miss Ida, and I'm adding the wheel. Let's spin the wheel.
Okay. Working remotely.
Working remotely. Okay.
Okay.
And our candidate is Mr. Philip Cowen. I'm taking you off, Miss Ida. Oh, he can't hear us.
Can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, well, I can live without hearing you.
I can type. I'm going to type the question.
What's the question? Can you just hold the question up so I can? Okay. 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 I'll answer the question. Okay, I got it. What you're referring to, I have 3 minutes. Is that right? Okay. What you're referring to is nothing to do with the virtual learning. What has to do with where you can, You think that teachers and students, and not students, but other workers, mainly in the main office and the campuses, that where they don't absolutely have to come to the a particular building, that they should be able to work at home. And I'm in favor of that. We had an issue with workers who had problems with their child care, and we're going to have to take leave and use up a significant portion of the person's leave, the leave, and then some stuff on the CARES Act. And essentially, we're going to be able to qualify for 2/3 pay under, I think there was a special program under the CARES Act that they could qualify for because of the problems with childcare. And I've talked to Dr. Gutierrez about trying to make sure that we accommodate those people through, if they absolutely have to be at the office because the equipment has to be there, happens to be there, and they can't work without it, at least try to stagger their work. Let some people come in the mornings, let some people come in the evening, and that might be one way to work it. Where you can do your work from home, and I have my daughter, Christina, that works for Southwestern Airlines. She's been working for 6 months from home. I think you ought to be able to do that. Not everybody likes to work from home, and not everybody feels comfortable doing it. But for those who can and are comfortable with it, I think the district should be able to accommodate them. And I've been pushing that for the last 5 or 6 months. I have. Anyway, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cowen.
I hear you now.
Yay!
Okay. I don't know what happened.
Thank you. All righty, Ms. Ida, bringing back the wheel.
Okay.
We have our next candidate for place 3, Mr. Viro Cardenas. Let's spin the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Athletics.
Athletics. Okay. All right, Miss Ida, see you in a moment.
Okay.
Mr. Cardenas, bringing him on. Okay, sir, you're going to have 3 minutes. Let me read you the question. Athletics. Do you feel the athletic program is properly supported in BISD, and why? You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I have kids still in school, so I see the facilities. I've seen the pay cuts that organizations have taken. Athletics, the theater department, the bands, the athletic department. Some campuses are getting new gyms, and we still have some locations of schools that their softball fields aren't properly maintained, that need to be upgraded. Does athletics do a lot for our schools? Of course it does, all the way across the state of Texas. And this is what brings in revenue because of what happens in athletics. At one time, back in our day, when I was in high school, that's how many of the high schools in the state of Texas got most of their money. But we do have to look at not just athletics, but all the organizations, the fine arts, anything having to do with extracurricular activity has to be glanced at again and reallocated funds so we don't put our kids in jeopardy. There's no reason that they shouldn't have the proper tools to perform to their highest ability. That's my response.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Okay. Okay, Miss Ida.
All right. So now we start back with Mr. Jaime Diez.
Yes, this is going to
Bring the
be
wheel.
round 2. Round 2. Spin the wheel.
Special education.
Special education. Okay. All right, Miss Ida, see you in a moment. Okay. Mr. Diez, you're on mute, sir.
You're right.
There you go. Okay.
It's better.
Let me get the timer ready, and I'm going to read you the questions. Special education. Do you feel the special education teachers are properly supported, and why? You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
So basically, talking to different people who are teachers in BISD, I've noticed a culture in which administrators don't like to be told any problems. And this is a problem because the teachers are the ones who talk to the students, and they're the ones who talk to the parents. And administrators should be reaching out to teachers in order to get their feedback and develop some kind of feedback loop to know what's actually going on, as opposed to at the end of the year, seeing the enrollment drop by whatever percentage, right? And losing those students to charter schools. So in reality, no, I don't think that special teachers are getting enough support. And through my candidacy and hopefully if I'm elected, I plan to listen to everybody and make myself available. Even now, if you would like to call me, my phone number is on my Facebook page, and that's my response.
Thank you, Mr. Diez. Okay, our next candidate is going to be Mr. Frankie Olivo for place 2. Let's spin the wheel.
Spin it. Safety.
Okay. All right, see you in a minute, Miss Ida. Frankie. There we go. Mr. Olivo. Safety. Let me get the timer ready. Okay. What do you think about how BISD has handled the pandemic, and what would you have done differently? You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
It's unfortunate, but I would dare say that BISD has not handled the pandemic the way it should. We have seen time and time again how our superintendent has put our students and staff at risk by sending them back to the campuses. We have seen how band members, athletes have gone back only to have tested positive and have forced the district to shut operations down. It is not right for the staff members to go back into the brick and mortar schools. We have heard and seen how counselors at different high schools are being forced back when they could be working remotely. We need to have our superintendent have more communication with our community in regards to the different issues and the problems going on with our district, especially during a time like this of uncertainty dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. It is important for us to have that constant dialogue with our community. I would be vocal and advocate of having our superintendent go on our KBSD network and give a weekly update in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, to give all our teachers and all our staff guidance in regards to how the year is going to be handled. Still, the first couple of days of school, the teachers, the parents, they had so many questions in regards to the distant learning into the process. Another thing, the food that was distributed, it was chaos. There was long lines. Students had to be in their vehicles in order to be given a meal. We should look to districts such as McAllen ISD, who have the bus drivers going neighborhood to neighborhood, dropping off meals for our students. That is decisive leadership. That is thinking outside the box, being innovative. Safety, again, should be our number one concern. Communication is very important in today's world. We have all this technology and our district has not been able to create that dialogue with our community. That is where we have failed us. I will make sure that our superintendent and leadership have that constant communication with our community so we could all be better informed in regards to what is going on. So our parents could be rest assured that we have their best interest at heart, not with words, but with actions. BISD has done a poor job, in my opinion, during this COVID-19 pandemic for our community and our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olivo. Our next candidate in place 3, Miss Argelia Miller. Let's spin the wheel.
Okay. Policy and procedures.
Policy and procedures. Thank you for being my eyes, Miss Ida.
Anytime.
I thought I'd be like this on the screen every 5 seconds. Okay, Miss Miller. Let me reset the timer and I will start your question. Policy and procedures. What are your thoughts on District of Innovation and how they might change it for the betterment of the district? You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
The District of Innovation. To be honest with you, I don't know much about the District of Innovation. Only I know that when I work in the main building, policy and procedure is very important. So if you are going to go ahead and do anything when it comes to innovate, to think out of the box, to go ahead and be ahead of the ball game, to go ahead and forecast, have plans A, B, and C, so you don't fall behind. You have to always have and make it your first priority. You have to communicate. You have to always be available. And again, with policy and procedure, there's always guidelines. There's always laws that you always have to abide by. And also there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. So that's all I can tell you about the policy and procedure. But again, sometimes when the board of trustees don't know something, or the human beings or the candidates, they go and do research, or they go ahead and inquire, or they go ahead and forward a question to whoever is in charge of policy and procedure in the main building. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Okay. Our next candidate, place 3, Mr. Philip Cowen. Let's spin the wheel.
All right. Maintenance and custodial.
Maintenance and custodial. All right. And this is for Mr. Cowen. Okay, Mr. Cowen, let me reset my timer here, and I'm going to read you the question.
Okay.
Maintenance and custodial. Do you feel maintenance and custodial employees have been treated fairly during this pandemic? You have 3 minutes. You may.
You have to separate two groups, okay? Because maintenance is one thing and the custodial staff is another thing. Okay, so but I'll answer referencing both. I think the custodial staff has been, just like food service workers, have been put at greater risk. I know that teachers are allowed to stay home. Some people at the main office are allowed to stay home, work remotely. And we are forcing custodial staff and food service workers to essentially show up at school. When I visited all 54 schools last week every one of them, and I felt like there were too many people on the campuses. I think we need to be very, very careful in the future and not put the people that work on a campus in close quarters where they possibly could spread COVID-19 to each other. Now, the maintenance people is a different thing. The maintenance people, they're sent out to cut the grass. They're sent out to go ahead and repair facilities. I don't see that they can social distance while they work. They're not as at risk as much as the people that are working on the campus. One of the things that the maintenance people are doing right now is they're going through the schools and changing the lighting. And some of you who are in ALBE know this. They're getting rid of the plexiglass windows at all the schools in the older buildings on the campuses and replacing them with polarized glass. Essentially, the entire district is undergoing a facelift, and maintenance is involved in doing that. Maintenance is also involved in upgrading some of our facilities as well. Some of it we farm out, but I think maintenance is protected pretty well because they are not in close quarters with each other. It's been small crews out to do a job and things like that. And also, if it's something where they might have to play in close quarters, generally what maintenance does is to bid it out and get a contractor to come in and get it done pretty quickly. And that seems to have worked. But my real concern really is the custodial staff and what they call the essential workers to make sure they're protected. I think we're providing them enough equipment and protection. I went through some of the food lines in the last 3 days. They are really not long lines there. I think there was Russell today, for instance, 400 people went through the line in less than an hour. That's pretty good. But anyway, I do have some serious concerns about the custodial staff, and I think everybody in the administration does, the principals of the campus also, and they're working very hard to protect them. I just think we need to watch that very closely and make sure we're not putting these people at risk any more than you would normally.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cowen.
You're welcome.
Okay, our next, I was going to say next contestant. Our next candidate in place 3 is Mr. Viro Cardenas. Let's spin the wheel.
Okay.
Is it safety? Safety, right?
Safety, yes.
Safety. All righty. Okay, Mr. Cardenas. Your question for safety is, how do you feel the district can help employees feel safer for work during this pandemic? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Well, first of all, there's no one on God's green earth that can tell us it's safe to go back to outside to normalcy, what we used to call normalcy, being around friends, gatherings. The district, in my opinion, has failed to come up with a solution for safety. We have to start thinking outside the box. Can we have staff, students come back to campuses right now? No. With the small amount of people that have gathered on campuses, some have been stricken by COVID, that's a sad day. Even wearing protection, it's still getting out there. Can we get back to campuses one day with safety parameters? Yes. It's going to have to take thinking outside the box. It's going to have to maybe send our elementary kids and put them in high schools, bring back retired teachers to lessen the group of students in a class to 10, separate them, move our middle schoolers into elementaries and middle schools and just have the teachers rotate themselves. We have to do a better job of thinking outside the box to make it a more safer environment for our staff and students, everyone in this community. It's unfortunate that we don't have any phases coming up by our superintendent to say, okay, by this date we're going to do this, and then by this date we're winging it. It's, let's see how it goes. We're having trouble right now with virtual, and it's going to happen. But until it's safe to really go back to class and open up schools, we're going to have to take it in smaller parameters than we're doing now. That's my response.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Okay, Aida, that's round 2.
Okay, I want to remind everyone and encourage them to ask any questions on the comment section. Any questions that were asked before 7:30 were lost. So if you wrote your question before that time, please just put it again so I can go through them, and I'm writing them down so we can go over those at the end. Okay?
All right.
You can spin the wheel.
Yes, ma'am. We're going back to place 2, Jaime Diez. Spin that wheel.
Distance learning.
Distance learning. All righty. Okay, Mr. Diaz, you are on mute. All righty. Distance learning. Do you think the district prepared properly for distance learning for the 2020-2021 school year? And what would you have done differently? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
I mean, I definitely don't agree that they prepared adequately, but however, I remember this whole issue started back in March, and we thought it was going to be a short thing. It's lasted much longer than we expect. In terms of connectivity, I understand right now we're issuing buses. I think that we need to come up with a long-term solution, and I know that the city has presented the school board a plan to run some more infrastructure to connect broadband to some of these communities with no connection. So I feel like that would be a good step. I understand it's difficult, distance learning. Right now, I'm actually enrolled in a postgraduate in UT and Macomb for artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it's all online. And I mean, it's not easy to stay focused, but these are hard times, and our priority should be to keep our staff, children, community safe. And given the situation, I feel like we've done a decent enough job.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. All righty. Our next candidate is place 2, Frankie Olivo. Let's spin the wheel.
Okay. And it is policy and procedures.
Policy and procedures. Okay. Okay, Mr. Olivo. Policy and procedures. What is your biggest concern with BISD, and what would you do differently to help improve it? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you. My platform will be focusing on our special needs students and department. For far too long, monies have been allocated to different areas and have depleted this department. We have outdated resources. We don't have enough paraprofessionals to assist our teachers. So this is a great concern for me and is one of the reasons why I'm running to be a school board member. I want to be a vocal in regards to this issue. We need to focus on training our paraprofessionals, on hiring more paraprofessionals. We have seen how some teachers only have 2. We need to have 3 or 4 in the classroom. We need to make sure that not only our paraprofessionals, but all our employees receive adequate compensation. If we focus on these areas, we will make sure that our staff knows that we have their back. There's nothing more important for us on the district, on the board, to make sure that they know that we sympathize with them, that we will be there for them. But it's not only with words, through with actions. The special needs department, we need to be smart with our money. We need to provide them with the latest technology. I have heard how schools have outdated resources. We need to continuously be providing them with the latest resources to be able to make sure that they have every resource available to ensure that the instruction goes accordingly. Hiring more paraprofessionals is essential. We are stretched thin in this area. That is something that I will advocate for and I will be vocal. Also, compensation. It is very important. Us being one of the biggest districts south of San Antonio, and we have many paraprofessionals and employees below market, that is not acceptable. I will make sure that we will see other districts our size, what they are paying their employees. And I will be very vocal about making sure that we go a step beyond to make sure that these employees are paid above market level. So those are my grave concerns. Focusing on our special needs department and making sure that all our BISD employees are paid above, way above the market level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olivo. Okay. Our next candidate for place 3 is Argelia Miller. Let's spin the wheel.
It is policy and procedures.
Policy
Yeah.
and procedure.
Just to clarify, the reason that policy and procedures and safety is on the wheel a few times is because we had quite a bit of questions in regards to that, because of course that is very hot topic. So we have to put it several times on the wheel, so we made sure to cover all of those questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ida. Okay, let me bring up Ms. Miller. Okay. Policy and procedures. How do you think Dr. Gutierrez is doing as a superintendent and why? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
For the amount of money that Dr. Gutierrez, with the 2 deputies, with all the other people that he brought from where he came from, he should have thought way ahead and have a plan since we heard about the coronavirus since February, since March. He should have thought, with the money that he's making, how can he go ahead and take care of the safety of the employees and the students, the safety of the community. He should have communicated exactly how he was going to go ahead and do the plan, have a plan. And then this way he could have gone ahead and have a successful year for the 2021. See, when you ask me how is he's doing, for the amount of money that we're paying, us as taxpayers, that we're paying the superintendent, he should have done a much better job. Besides, there's also, he gets paid so much money and then more money after that. And then he also has 2 deputy superintendents, and still we have all outdated resources, outdated equipment, outdated, what is it, the disinfectants. We have a lot of stuff that should have been more thinking about the future, about the getting ready from March, April, May. We had all the summer because the main building stays open during the summer. He should have gone ahead and have safety procedures for the employees. For the ones, there's a lot of employees that they have, several illnesses, they cannot be, that they're more vulnerable to be around other individuals. With the money that the superintendent is making right now, he should have had a plan. He should have thought about safety. He should have thought about how can he go ahead and make a successful 2021, not to just be winging it, because we don't know how long this is going to be. And that's why a lot of people are throwing their name right there on the candidate race, because the voters want change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Okay, our next candidate on the list for place 3 is Mr. Philip Cowen. Let's spin the wheel.
Curriculum and instruction.
Curriculum and instruction. Okay. Thank you, Ida. Mr. Cowen, curriculum and instruction. Do you feel the teachers are given appropriate opportunity to provide input or feedback on curriculum decisions? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
No, I don't. That's my answer. I don't. My wife's a teacher, and I know that they don't call her in and ask her, to come in and see what she says about something. Maybe one time she was on a textbook committee or anything like that. So I really don't feel like teachers are really brought into the process. Part of the problem is site-based management. And, we have a curriculum, the state gives us that, and how you implement a campus, it should be something that would be a joint thing that the principal would, working with the assistants and the facilitators and the teachers, figure out how to put together. But I mean, most of what I see, things are run by fiat. Do this, and this is the way you should do it. And I don't think that that's correct. And it's something that, we've been working on trying to, at least I have been working on trying to get more input, but I'm only one board member. I think in the next term, when I get reelected, I think it'll be something we can bring to the forefront. There's so many other things that people are trying to have done with resources and money. Somebody wants to, put 2 or 3 aides into every classroom, and somebody else wants to put more money in fine arts. Somebody else wants to do something here. I think you need to put your money at the campus with teachers and give them the training to be able to implement the curriculum and let them develop the techniques that they need to be able to do that, and then without fear of retaliation. And I don't think that the retaliation issue is as big as people are made out of it, but without fear of retaliation, not from the main office or anything, but at the campus, that they should be able to have an honest conversation with the facilitator, the assistant principal, and the principal about the problems they have in trying to implement the instruction program. So I really don't. I think it's something where we need to work and we need to improve there. And that's my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Cowen. Our next candidate in place 3 is Mr. Viro Cardenas. Let's spin the wheel.
Bilingual.
Bilingual. Alrighty. Thank you, Ms. Ida. Okay. I'm just resetting the timer. Okay. Bilingual. Being that BISD is predominantly Spanish speaking, what would you do to support our parents? You have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Oh, am I good? Okay. Bilingual. That has been an issue for many years, especially for our teachers. Students, we have students that come from our sister city, Matamoros, that are in our school systems, that they're predominantly Spanish speaking. And, you know, they teach themselves how to speak English. And it's one of those where the parents need to understand that even if we have teachers that can teach English and Spanish, that it's difficult for the rest of the students to kind of stay engaged. We have to take into consideration that we can't single out one student because they don't speak English and help them get through the process without being dominantly saying that, oh no, well, we can't teach your student. We can, but it takes time. It takes time to be sure that all the kids are learning together, and not just, like I said, not singling out one or two or three because, you know, oh, well, they don't speak English or they don't speak Spanish. It's an issue that has been going on for years now. And it's understandable. The parents need to understand. The parents need to understand that we're a predominantly English-speaking education. If it's something that, yes, us as kids, as adults, need to learn two languages in order to work together in a community. There's no reason why we shouldn't know English and Spanish, especially in the region that we live in. But parents do need to understand that it's something that we need to work towards to help out the teachers themselves. We can't be the parent that goes in there and says, well, no, you need to teach my son in Spanish. Well, now we're singling out, and we can't do that. It's something that a parent, a student must understand when coming into enrollment, and not base it and put the weight on the teacher, and, you know, for fear of retaliation from the principal. It's something that we need to get back to. English, Spanish, it's got to work together. That is my response.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. All righty, that was round 3.
All right. How many were left on the wheel?
I see 4 left.
4. Okay, so we can go ahead and let me see if you want to do another round to completely cover all of those questions, or do we start taking them from the audience? We have enough to do one round from the audience.
If we do this next round, maybe limit to 2 minutes, so then we can include the audience as well, so we don't. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, let me reset my timer here.
I want to thank everybody for, this is actually getting a lot more response than what we were expecting, so this is good.
Okay, all right. So we're going back to the top, place 2, Jaime Diez, and we're going to spin the wheel.
Okay. Transportation.
Transportation. Okay. Thank you, Miss Ida. Okay, Mr. Diez. We are now going to have 2 minutes. You're on mute. All right. We're going to have 2 minutes for your response, okay? And the question is for transportation. How do you feel transportation department employees can be utilized during distance learning? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
That's a very good question. I actually haven't thought about that one that much. I mean, I figured that for the meantime, we'd be using the resources that we do have to mobilize the buses, right, which are right now our mobile hotspots. So I kind of thought we'd be using them for that. I mean, in order to maximize the use of our employees, I haven't really considered that. If you want, I'll talk to my team. I'll figure something out and I'll put it on my Facebook page. How's that?
Thank you. Okay. Our next candidate is Frankie Olivo for place 2. Let's spin the wheel.
We're going to add another safety at the end for whichever one is last, because we will have an additional safety question. So that way there will be enough questions for this. Community is next.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Olivo. Community. Do you feel BISD has built a good relationship with the community and why? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
I hate to say this, but BISD has created a barrier with our community. We have seen their response on the COVID-19 issue back in March. We had a board member, the board president, who said that this was a hoax, that this was going to go away like magic. That has led us to not properly prepare our teachers and staff for this upcoming year. How can we expect for us to have a cohesive relationship with our community if we have no dialogue, if we're not prepared, and we show no leadership? It is very important for board members to have the responsibility to the community to make sure that whatever is done by leadership is done with their best interests. I do not feel that BISD has had a good relationship due to the COVID-19 issue. Also, I hate to say it, but we have a board member who has been charged with taking bribes, and none of the board members have made an issue about it. I'm all in favor of innocent until proven guilty. But when allegations of this magnitude occurred while sitting in office, it would be best for everybody involved, for that individual to take a back seat and for these current board members to be vocal about it. I will make sure that our community has a cohesive and good relationship with our community by always making sure that we have constant dialogue, that we are accessible to our community, and building good relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olivo. Okay. Now moving to place 3, Miss Argelia Miller. Ooh, we only have 2 left.
And at the end, we're going to add the one more to safety. That way it covers everybody from this round.
Yes.
And then we go into the ones from the comments.
Okay, let's spin that wheel. I mean, it's a 50-50.
I think you can see these though, right?
I can see these, yes. Okay.
Safety.
Safety, safety, safety. All righty. Okay, Miss Miller, I'm resetting my timer. Safety. Do you think the district has been consistent and fair in employees being allowed to work remotely, and why? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
No, I don't think the district, Brownsville Independent School District, has not been fair to the employees to work remote. You have to understand that Brownsville area is one of the lowest or poorest area. It's one of the lowest and poorest. So therefore, not everybody has internet. Not everybody has computer. Not everybody's knowledgeable in the computer skills. So this is something that the district, since first COVID was like it was in the inception of COVID, they should have thought about it and figure out through communication, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this, or try to get planning. They should have an idea of what exactly, a plan of what they were going to do. So in safety for the employees, no. Again, let me reiterate, there's some people that they are very immune, or they have like high blood pressure, asthma problems, cancer, recovering employees. So those are the ones that, we have students with special needs. And all this is, if safety is the issue, BISD has failed the employees, the children, the community immensely. So again, when you ask, has BISD failed or tried to help with safety? BISD has failed all the employees, all the students, the community, because they have not had a plan. They have not had communication. They have not tried to figure it out how they were going to protect the community, the children, the employees. Therefore, BISD, the superintendent, they're making too much money to go ahead and
Thank you, Miss
keep people
Miller.
safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So we have Mr. Cowen is next.
Mhm.
And what was left on the wheel? The wheel? Finance was left on the wheel. If you can show the wheel.
It's not, I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, finance was the one left on the wheel. And then we're adding safety for the next one. So Mr. Cowen will be finance.
Okay.
And then after this, we just have one round of questions from the comments box. And then that will be it. We will move on to closing comments.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Cowen. Let me just reset my timer. Okay. Finance. Do you feel the district is transparent in the expenditures of the district? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Yes, I do. I mean, the budget process is an open process. And one of the things that's happened now compared to 2 years ago is this board here insists that we essentially explode the balance sheet for the district so you can see every single little item. It takes a little while to go through it, but it's there. Nothing's going to get by. Dr. Tipton, as chair of the budget committee, has done an in-depth analysis of this herself. That's her area, finance for education. And so I absolutely think that it is there. Now, the problem is, and I hear it from some of the answers from some of these candidates, and they just don't have any idea or any clue as to how this works. And, it's not their fault. They're not inside. They're not getting the training from, the administration to explain things. They haven't been going to meetings for the last 4 years or 6 years or whatever. And so, it's a little hard to understand. but I think the district has been very transparent in this. I think the transparency has increased this year more than any other year. We took money this year, and we were able to give a $2,000 raise, for instance. This administration was recommending $1,680, and the board said, look for some more money. Run that budget through a fine-tooth comb, see if you can scrape up a few more funds, and they were able to do it, and we've been able to complete it. It's easy to complain. And it really is. One of the candidates a minute ago said that the board didn't do anything about one of the board members that got arrested. Well, two board members got arrested. One was one of the board members' uncle who's running for the race. And we censured the person for essentially the horrible situation they put the district in. And thank God the person resigned. And we also met with, very quickly, I want to finish, we met with what is it?
Thank you, Mr. Cowen.
We kicked our vice president out as vice president and replaced that person.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cowen.
Thank you. And I appreciate.
Wait. Sorry, I had to take you off. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. And we're adding the last question, right, Ms. Ida, for safety. So let me get that one. And that one will go to Viro Cardenas. All right. Okay, I'm going to reset my timer. Okay. Safety. Do you feel the district has an adequate task force for this pandemic? You have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Safety will be an issue till 2023. Do we have people that are doing the job that they're asked? It's going to be hard. There's no one that can say, oh, yes, we have a safe campus. There's no one that can say every classroom is safe. It's going to take a team that we don't have at the moment to make sure that everything is adequate and safely processed to return back to schools, to return back to offices, to return back to work in general. It's unfortunate that we are in this pandemic, and it's something that our great grandparents went through, and we're experiencing it now. It would have to take the entire staff in a school to actually clean one campus, and that shouldn't happen. It's going to be a slow-moving process, but we'll eventually get there. We'll with proper planning and not putting our staff in harm's way until we can actually get a hold of what's happening. Like I've said, there's no doctor that can say, oh, it's safe to go back, and it's not going to be safe, and people don't feel safe. You could say that you took 1,000 people to clean one school, and they can come out and tell you, oh, it's good to go back in, and then one person comes out and is infected. It's
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
It's not a process that we want to go through. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Miss Ida, that was a good, what was that, 4 rounds, huh? You're on mute.
There you go. Okay. That was very good. Okay, so now we're going to go off of, I really quickly scanned through all of the comments, and because there was just some were just comments, and I was able to pull some of the ones that were questions and appropriate questions. So we can go in order. I pulled 5 questions, and we can just go like that. And there was actually only 5, to tell you the truth. So we can start if you want to continue in the same order.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first one will be place 2, Jaime Diez, and you will have 2 minutes. I'm going to leave Ida on the screen because she's going to read us our question. You're on
Okay.
mute, Mr. Diez. You're on mute. There we go.
All right, sir. So I'm going to read it exactly as it was on the comment box. Will you have limits on the superintendent's salary for future reference?
Okay, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
I mean, on his salary? Yeah, I would have limits on his salary. That's my response.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay. So
Next question goes to Frankie Olivo.
the question is, and I'm not sure if this is what they meant, but it's worded like this. What are your publicity plans for the district? So I'm not sure if they're meaning like the PR that's done for the district, but I'm thinking that's what it is.
Okay, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you. The district has not been doing enough to promote in a positive light. We have seen how they've been doing things wrong, and it makes it even worse, which could lead and has led to losing enrollment. We have seen the treatment of our classified staff, how they were taking away that security of the temporary disability. After the FMLA, they weren't allowed, they were subject to termination. How can we promote our district? Is by not doing such things. We need to ensure that our teachers, our employees, our staff is well taken care of. That is the message that we should give to our community, that we're taking care of our classified staff, because they are the backbone of special needs department and all of our teachers. So again, how can we publicize the plans for our district? We need to ensure that our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our staff are well taken care of. And that is the only way that we will have a positive outlook from the community towards our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olivo. Okay, Ms. Ida. Our next candidate is Argelia Miller for place 3. Let me bring her on. Okay.
Okay, and this was the question, and you might not know the specifics, but maybe you can speak on the topic. Does band get some money from the football games? That was the question.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Before I continue, I didn't hear the whole question. What was the question again?
The question is, does band get some money from the football games? So if you don't know specifically that answer, since you're not an incumbent, you can maybe just speak on the topic of that, just in general.
So doesn't get any money from the
Okay.
football game? So
Does band? Did you need the question one more time? It's okay. Does band get some money from the football games?
The band. Does the band
Yes,
get money from football game? Yes. Okay.
at this moment, I don't know if the band gets
Okay,
money from the football game.
Let me start your timer.
Okay.
If you don't know the like Ida said, that if you're not don't have information, if you can just speak on the topic of what you know as far as band. Yes. Okay, 2 minutes. You may begin.
And let me go ahead and reiterate. You are right. I don't know the answer if the band gets money from the football games. But all I can say is this, that for all the money that the 2 deputies and the superintendent are making, they should be able to have everything in a balance, make sure that all the employees are taken care of, that all the bands and the footballs and all the special services and all the safety, it's there for everybody. And to answer your question, I do not know, because I don't have it with me, if the band is taking money from the football. But all I can say is just that they should balance the funds with all the $500 million that BISD has for a budget. They should be able to have somebody that knows how to divide things evenly without one entity taking from another. And that is my take.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Okay. Our next candidate is
Now, I just want to say, I know somebody had the question, who asked, or where are we getting these questions from? This round of questions is coming straight from the comment box. We pulled only some that were in question format and that were appropriate and, professional in regards to a board member running for election. So we pulled out the questions that we could from the comments section. So it's from the audience.
okay. Let me reset my timer real quick. Okay, go ahead, Ida.
Okay, this question is, how can I feel valued as an employee? And they had a longer comment, but just to let you know, what they were talking about was that right now the employee does not feel valued because they feel like their input isn't taken into account. But that was what that comment was referring to. And it says, so how can I feel valued as an employee?
Okay, Mr. Cowen, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
It's a complicated question because I don't know the questioner, whether that person is a teacher, is a custodian at a campus, or a bus driver. I know that the area where I think a lot of workers feel like they're not valued is transportation, and we're addressing that issue. I think on some campuses, not all, some campuses, I think the principals are just too critical of their staff and don't give them enough recognition and don't listen to them enough. They're trying to, win prizes and try to go ahead and get that A as a rating. I think in the process, I think some teachers at the campuses and some of the people working to support staff there kind of feel like they're not valued as they should be. What I think that needs to be done, and I've stressed this time and time again, is we have to build in loving kindness into the process. The principal has to respect her staff or his staff. The principal has to want input from staff. From the clerical staff, the custodial staff, or whatever at the campus, they have to feel like everybody's there. And I think for the most part it's there. But there are campuses, I think, where, they're trying to raise scores, whatever, and they're pushing the people hard. And I think they need to, put in a little bit more kindness into the process and trust their employees, because that would make a difference, and it makes for happier employees. Most of the complaints I see is where, people are just ordered to do things, and the people, when they're ordered to do things and they're not explained why or whatever, and they feel like sometimes it's just busy work, they tend to resent and feel like they're not being listened to and being respected. It's something that the district needs to work on, not just Brownsville. Los Fresnos has a problem there. Other districts have the problem there. Harlingen, Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cowen. Okay, and then the last question for Mr. Viro Cardenas.
The last question of the night.
Yes, let me bring him up. And let me reset my timer. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, Mr. Cardenas, if elected or re-elected, what would be the first item you would address? Were you able to hear me? Did you hear me, sir?
Well, with yes.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, you
So
may
are we
begin.
starting at, do I start now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a good question. There's so many avenues that do need to be looked at. You know, everyone's going to hear about the transparency and the fiscal responsibility, but we're going to have to run an audit of what is happening and what departments need more help. It's unfortunate that, you know, that we have to run these audits, but with an incoming board, when I'm elected, we have to work together and find the solutions to, you know, what's been lagging. Where can we get responsible to add adequate funds to adequate funds to programs that have been cut, and why were they cut, and, you know, why is funding not available to this? So it's all going to boil down to, it's not just one item. I mean, we can't break it down into, you know, we're going to have to break it down from most important, but everything on an agenda is most important. You can't leave people in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
Great. Okay. So I think we can continue and move right into the closing comments.
Yes. And I will be taking you off, Ms. Ida, and I'm just going to go candidate by candidate.
Perfect.
Our first candidate, you will have 2 minutes. Whoa, 2 minutes for your closing comments. Let me just get my timer up. My paper flew away. You're on mute. Okay, you may begin.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for that was able to sit through the entire 2 hours of this conversation. And aside from that, I mean, just stay safe. Let's try to get these COVID numbers down. Remember to wear your mask, and thanks for the opportunity to be your candidate.
Okay, thank you. Our next candidate is Frankie Olivo. Let me just reset my timer. Okay, you're on mute, Frankie.
Sorry.
All right, you have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
First and foremost, thank you to AOBE for giving me an opportunity to share my platform, my experience, my background with our community. I think it's very important for us to vet each and every candidate to see if that is somebody that we can entrust with a great responsibility, especially now that we're coming in to these uncertain times. To the teachers, employees, and staff, be patient. Relief is coming. You all do everything and more for our school district. You are what led us to an A district rating. I want to leave you with this in mind. A vote for Frankie Olivo would be a vote for somebody that will advocate, be vocal, and will always listen to your concerns and will take action. That is something that this current board have failed to do so. I will make sure that the safety of our community, of our employees and students is our #1 priority. I'm so excited for this upcoming November, as it is a very important election. I humbly request for your consideration in becoming your next BISD board trustee for place 2. My platform will focus on our special needs population. We will get them the technology. We'll make sure that we are better equipped by having more paraprofessionals, and make sure that they have every chance to succeed towards graduation. Teachers and staff, I will make sure that you are compensated above market value, because you deserve to be treated not just with words, but through actions. And also, morale. I will change morale on the board. I will make sure that you will be able to criticize, make suggestions, and
Thank
recommendations so
you.
I can better serve you as a board member. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Mr.
guys.
Olivo. Thank you. Okay, our next candidate, Miss Argelia Miller. You will have 2 minutes. You may begin.
My name is Argelia Miller. I'm retired Air Force, and I'm also a federal employee, which, now I'm on a leave of absence. I've also worked in Brownsville Independent School District. If you vote for me, and if you're not happy with how the system is working right now, if you work for me, I can assure you that I work with you. I can be with you. I'm available. I'm retired, so therefore I'll be available 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days. My telephone number is 210-269-9999. I can go ahead and try to work with safety, success, and happy employees. I will try to protect the staff, the students, and the community, and have a plan. We have to overcome. We have to try to think out of the box. Mi nombre es Argelia Miller. Estoy corriendo para el lugar 3 de Brownsville Independent School District. Yo soy retirada de la Fuerza Aérea. También fui empleada federal. Ahora estoy corriendo para el Brownsville Independent School District. Si usted quiere alguien que le ayude a proteger a los empleados de BISD, a proteger a los estudiantes, la comunidad y tener más comunicación, por favor, vote por mí. La elección primaria comienza octubre 13 a octubre 30, es early voting. Yo les puedo asegurar que como estoy retirada, estoy available para ustedes 24 horas, 7 días de la semana, 365 días del año. Mi teléfono es el 210-269-9999. Su servidora. En este COVID y todas las pandemias que pasen, we will overcome. Esto tenemos que tener un plan que no tiene ahorita el superintendente, ni los 2 deputies, ni toda la gente que está sacando mucho dinero y que no tratan de proteger a los empleados y darles buen salario.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Our next candidate is Mr. Philip Cowen.
Ready?
All right, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
First of all, I want to thank AOB for letting me come here. I want to thank all the teachers and staff and members of AOB that are watching this and anybody else that's watching this. I want to tell you that tonight, except for Mr. Diaz, I haven't heard one solution from any of the other candidates. I've heard, nothing but district bashing. It's like every member of AOB just can't do anything right. The BISD personnel can't do anything right. And I resent that. I know my wife resents that. And I know that this district is a good district. It didn't get to be an A district because these people were going to eventually run for the school board. It got to be an A district because the people down in the trenches made an A district. And it got to be an A district too because the board got out of the way and let these people thrive. And so, one instance here, one of the candidates here, I think it was Mr. Cardenas, said that it would take the entire staff at a school to be able to clean a school. Well, he doesn't know that we spent $2.1 million buying machinery that can clean the school in a couple of hours, clean every classroom in 15 minutes. We have 2 of these devices, foggers at every school. In the high schools, we have more. So what you have is, you can bring some of these people who are trying to get on, and they have 4 years in most cases, a couple of 2 years, to kind of bring them up to par. What I feel like you have with me is you have somebody that's been working, knows what he's doing. I'm an attorney, I'm a businessman, and I understand finance. I have a master's in education. I understand education. And, so I humbly ask you, to keep what you have. I think that we're going to be able to work together. I think that the hype that you're hearing from a lot of people is just exactly what it is. It's not. And anyway, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cowen. And then we have one more, Mr. Viro Cardenas. Okay, let me reset my timer. I think he's frozen.
Is he?
I think so. Let me see. It just kicked him out. Let's see if he comes back in.
No. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to bring everybody back in so we can say thank you. I don't, it's no, he hasn't come back in, Ida.
No.
No.
Okay.
We kicked her out as president. Anyway, I gotta go.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to bring you guys all back in and say thank you for taking the time to come out and answer the questions that our members have sent in to us. And just to let you know that since we are a democratically run organization, our members are the ones that are going to decide who we will be supporting. And we will be sending out a ballot. Oh, he's in. He's back in. He's back
Okay.
in. One second. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me thank him and then we'll go back to him. We're going to be sending out the ballot this weekend to all of our members for them to decide who we're going to be supporting. Okay. I just wanted to thank you guys. I know it's been long, but you guys are answering questions that are a big concern to our members. And so we really appreciate that you've taken the time to do this. Okay. So if you, of the other candidates that are done, if you all want to stay on in the background, I'll leave you in the background. If you want to log off, you can log off. We're going to go ahead and give Mr. Cardenas his 2 minutes for his closing statements, okay? Have a good night. All right, Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you.
You're going to have 2 minutes for your closing statements, okay? Let me get the timer on. And you may begin.
First of all, don't believe in smoking mirrors. Yes, does the school district have a machine that can clean a school in 2 hours? Yes, they do, but it cannot be used. So ask that candidate why it can't be used. You know, a key issue is to have a vision, mapping a core. We're going to get back to instructional teaching. Everyone is frustrated. I see it. I have a daughter in high school. I see the teachers that are, everything changes on a daily level, and it's just, hey, let's wing it. It can't work like that anymore, especially in these times, because it's the staff that is dealing with all the issues. Yes, there's issues on connectivity, like I'm having problems right now. It's the measures in place for COVID-19 aren't actually there. Our board, in the wake of legal issues, has turned a blind eye of what's happening, especially on campuses. There's too much going on to not care, to not put it out there for everyone, to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make it safe for you. No one is saying that. It's just, well, trial and error. Let's send, oh my God, we sent them back to school and someone got sick. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
No, thank you all, and thank everybody.
Thank you. Okay, Miss Ida, that was our very first virtual candidate forum. It was not without glitches, but that's okay. We managed to get through. Please, please, please tune in tomorrow. We will have place 5, 6, and 7 on tomorrow. We will follow the same process, and we will, however, have different questions that will be asked of the candidates tomorrow. Some of the questions that were in the comments we have written down, and we can throw those in for tomorrow as well. If you have, we did mention last week, if you had any questions that you wanted us to ask, for you to either send them to us through Facebook Messenger or to send them to our email, aobeadvocate.com. at gmail.com.
Yes.
So please tune in tomorrow again at 7 o'clock. We will have the remainder of the candidates running for 5, 6, and 7. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for your patience.
If I may, I do just want to say, I know it's been a long show. Thank you to everyone. But if we did skip any of your questions, I am so sorry. The ones who had their questions at the beginning of the show, when we had the glitch and we disconnected, it did lose all of those questions. So that's why we asked for them to submit them again. So I went through them as quickly as possible with the multitasking that was going on. But we thank everybody for their participation in it. Great response, great amount of people that were able to sign on. And we encourage you to ask and invite other people for tomorrow's show at 7 o'clock as well. Yes. So we thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.